Alright, let's maybe tell a story before they do that. This game is called Story, Story, Die. This is for all of my players. They're getting serious now. They're like, we can't have this bench here.
No, we need more room to die.
Alright, turn the piggy away. I don't want him to see this.
It's about to get a little graphic.
So in this game, I'm going to point to you. Look very concerned, sir. In this game, I'm going to point to one of them, and they're going to start telling a story. And they cannot stop telling the story until I stop and point at one of the other ones. At that point, the story changes ownership. Instantaneous! They have to stop. I don't care if they are mid-paragraph, mid-sentence, mid-word, mid-sound. They have to stop. The next person has to start on that sentence, word, sound, diphthong, wherever it is. Now, if they fail to do this, if they repeat, if there is too long of a pause, if I get bored, they will die a hilariously tragic death, cheered on by you, my good people, chanting die, die, die. Let us practice.
Death.
All right, now we need a title for this story. Who has a good title for the story they're about to witness?
The little engine that could.
The what's that?
The little engine that could.
The little engine that could. I heard Wendy's drive-through. What's that? Church pop.
What?
This is the little engine that got stuck in the Wendy's drive-through on the way to the church potluck by Panic in the Disco. Chapter 1.
Once upon a time, there was the little engine that got stuck at a Wendy's because he was so hungry and he knew the people that he went to church with, and he knew that that potluck did not have things that would meet his dietary needs. And gluten was such a challenge for this poor little engine. And so, in the Wendy's drive-thru, all that could be had was Wendy's French fries, which are gluten-free. And, unfortunately, they ran out. The fryer went dry.
And so, the little engine that could not leave the drive-thru, for he had to wait and wait until the fryer was restocked with oil, reheated, and so they could make their gluten-free fries so that he could make sure to have a gluten-free option at the church potluck.
People!
We did say they needed space to die.
Alright, the little engine that got stuck in the Wendy's drive-thru on the way to the church picnic by Panic at the Disco, Chapter 2!
After getting the fries from the drive-thru at Wendy's, the little engine that could tried to leave the drive-thru. Little did they realize
They got stuck under one of those precarious loggings, you know, the type that the minivan doesn't tend to go through very well. And they tried to keep moving, but it made that metal grating noise, and everybody was begging them to stop. But he kept trying anyway because he was really persistent, and then it was really loud and really annoying.
the engine said, I think I can, I think I can, I think, but he couldn't. The sign was clearly marked 10 feet or shorter, and the engine was clearly 11 feet. So it had only but one choice and one choice alone. It was to pry forward. So it grabbed its accelerator, threw it all the way down, and burst through that
whole archway, taking the archway with it. And so, here's the little engine that could now, with the archway made right around the engine, making its way downtown very quickly, at a very rapid speed, accelerating quite rapidly, while the Wendy's police, because the Wendy's do have their own police force,
Came after them at an expeditious rate. They were really upset that the arch went with the engine, but the engine...
I couldn't tell what's up.
Alright, the little engine that got stuck at the
way to the church parking lot and was getting ready to unload the prize when the police force did finally apprehend the little engine.
The police force said, "Didn't you see us with our sirens on trying to pull you over?" And the engine said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Someone should have closed the front door."
And so the cops descended upon the little engine and tried to figure out where they could attach the handcuffs, as the little engine didn't have arms.
For this conundrum, the police did to call in the local church, which ironically was the same church that the little engine was on the way to.
And so the church was there and said the only way this little engine, who's typically a very good little engine, could have done this is if it was possessed by a
demon. So I need a young priest and an old priest to exorcise it from this little
Engine. And then the two priests came down and they approached.
the little engine, who now was a snarling beast.
Writhing, red eyes, it developed wings sprouting off from it.
And so the little engine began to rise up in the air.
And it soared over the church and said in a mighty booming voice,
I have French fries! Thou shalt fear me and my
Gluten-free French fries.
And so the old priest and the
young priest looked to the crowd and said,
oh my goodness, I don't believe that.
This is something that we are qualified to have.
Please, call in reinforcements!
The potluck crowd gathered all their food
And did a circle around.
the engine, saying, "Your French fries shall not over."
Power us! We shall be victorious!
And we shall pledge.
This book's getting good. Alright, let's see. The little engine that got stuck in the Wendy's drive-thru on the way to the church potluck by Panic at the Disco, chapter 4.
And the crime scene that ensued thereafter was tragic.
They investigated and thought this engine was armed with gluten-free products. What could have possibly
Taken him to allow the demon to possess him and cause such a massacre with so many casualties.
And so many people cried as the dead bodies sat there, stinking of
Wonder Bread! The terrible glutinous Wonder Bread defeated the engine armed with these gluten-free French fries. It was a sad
crowd that could no longer contain themselves, and there was a...
I'm sorry.
Alright, and now, my dear people, the thrilling conclusion. Yep, we're gonna wrap up this plot. The thrilling conclusion of the little engine that got stuck in the Wendy's drive-thru on the way to the church picnic by Panic at the Disco.
Many years have passed since that tragic day, and the church picnic persists. But it is with a curse upon it.
Everyone knows that when someone dies from a gluten allergy, it stains the earth. It curses the soil. It puts lots of bread bits and breadcrumbs all around the entire property. So it is cursed from henceforth out. But it did not stop the good potluck eaters of the church, but they cranked up their Panic at the Disco. They played that one album where the songs kind of bled into each other, and it was kind of poppy for the time, but you know, it was kind of overplayed.
And so...
They made... No.
Great job.
And so they decided that Panic at the Disco was no longer
The most opportune music to play
at such a festival as it...
was a little bit too upbeat, so they needed something slower.
And they brought out the dirge.